What are the different types of documentation that you can include in a knowledge base? In this video, we're going to dive into that and more. My name is Josh, and I have over 10 years of experience in technical writing and creating knowledge bases. I'm also the founder of Technical Writer HQ. This video is for technical writers and professionals who want to learn about knowledge-based documentation. But before we dive into all that, take a moment to subscribe to our channel, and that way you won't miss any of our future videos. Now let's go ahead and get started. A knowledge base is a library of information about your product or service. It typically includes answers to frequently asked questions, how-to guides, and troubleshooting instructions. Its purpose is to make it easy for people to find solutions to their problems without having to ask for help. And knowledge bases use a combination of text, image, and video-based content. And if you do it right and make it easy to find topics and related subtopics, a good knowledge base can scale out your customer support program while also improving the overall customer experience. And 90% of consumers base their buying decisions on customer service and experience. Furthermore, consumers prefer to find answers on their own. A study by Forrester confirmed that customers prefer knowledge bases over all other self-service channels. This is because the vast majority of customers want an immediate response to their customer service questions. And there are two types of knowledge bases. Internal knowledge base, which an internal knowledge base is typically utilized as a way to allow employees to collaborate and share all company knowledge and also information internally. And this makes it easy when, let's say, a sales rep needs information to close a deal, and they're able to grab that information from the knowledge base. And that's just one of the many use cases. Then you have an external knowledge base. An external knowledge base, also known as a customer-facing knowledge base, is where customers can go to learn anything they'd ever need to know about a company's products and services. It's usually public to everyone and can be easily found online. If you browse through the help and documentation section of any software, that's their external knowledge base. What documentation would you include in an internal knowledge base? Now let's go ahead and take a look at the different types of documentation you would find in these knowledge bases. So the first one is internal knowledge base. You would find system documentation. This is documentation such as architecture, design, source code, marketing plans that's developed and used by engineers, designers, programmers, and marketers during product development. Putting system documentation on the knowledge base ensures that it's easily accessible to all teams working on the products. It also ensures that information is not lost if an employee moves to another company. And if an employee joins, then they have access to all the required information in one place so they can onboard faster and get up to speed with all their training. Examples of system documentation are product requirements document, which defines the requirements of a particular product, including the product's purpose, features, and functionality. It serves as a guide for business and technical teams to help build, launch, and market the product. You also have technical architecture. This contains a detailed technical architecture for both the hardware and software components of a product. It serves as a reference for engineers and programmers who work on developing the product. And the architecture is also a valuable resource for engineers who will develop later versions of the product. And then you have test documentation. This contains detailed results of testing that the product has gone through. And source code. This is especially relevant for software products and contains all the source code for the software. And we have product roadmap, which contains a plan of action for how a product or solution will evolve over time. It serves as a guide for both business and technical teams. Now, you may be wondering, what documentation would you include both in the internal knowledge base and the external knowledge base? And that's often user documentation, which is documentation and content you provide end users with to help them be more successful with your product or service. User documentation as under development is part of the internal knowledge base, and user documentation as ready for a release to the public is part of the external knowledge base. Examples of user documentation are frequently asked questions, and FAQs are answers to questions that have been either asked on a regular basis or that you expect your users to ask at some point in their user journey. And FAQs explain topics that don't require too much depth or technical support. And they cover topics that can be explained often in 1 or 2 paragraphs. And then we have how-to guides and tutorials. How-to guides are generally explain a single step or a series of actions in detail, essentially to help your new users get acquainted with basic processes of your product or service. Tutorials, on the other hand, are sometimes longer, more in-depth, and can cover a wider range of processes. And both how-to guides and tutorials can be the same, and they're generally supported with screenshots, visual representations, or even short step-by-step videos. And Quick Start Guide is the next one here, and that's a shortened version of a manual meant to make a buyer familiar with their product as soon as possible. It usually consists of illustrations with a limited amount of explanatory text, Then we have user manual, a detailed technical document that is designed to educate users on a particular product. And it's usually written with a purpose to inform users and help them solve any problems pertaining to the product. And then we have installation manual, which is a manual written that describes installation of either a hardware or software product. It contains detailed step-by-step instructions related to product installation. And we have troubleshooting manual, a technical manual that contains step-by-step instructions for resolving or troubleshooting common problems. Next, we have release notes, which are technical documentation produced and distributed with a product update. So you can think of recent changes, feature enhancements, or bug fixes. It very briefly details specific changes included in a product update. And then we have data sheets, also known as a spec sheet. This contains a detailed listing of technical specifications of a product, and it's useful if you need to quickly find out if a product supports features and specifications that you need. And next are white papers, which are in-depth reports or guides about specific topics. They're used to convince readers of your expertise and subtly suggest that your product is the best product to solve their problem. And next, we have case studies, which show potential customers the real-life applications of your product or service. And last here is a glossary, which is an explanation of all technical terms related to your product or service. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at one of the best examples of a knowledge base. Stripe's external knowledge base has been commended by many documentation professionals as one of the best knowledge bases online. So we'll use that as an example here. And here's what the dashboard looks like. You can see the categories up top, the subcategories on the left-hand side, and the subtopics within those subcategories. The architecture of this knowledge base is highly scalable to include thousands of topics and therefore thousands of articles. You'll notice that they use lots of tables to explain more complex topics. They also have the ability to provide their documentation in different languages at the click of a button. And this makes their product highly inclusive. And moreover, Stripe enables you to click a copy button, as circled in red here, to easily paste entire lines of code that you'd want to test or use for integration points if you're a developer. And this makes the usability of their documentation much easier compared to many of their competitors. Now let's check out Stripe's custom payment flow page within their knowledge base. You'll notice the level of customization that you can apply to this documentation page. And it's remarkable. You can customize by platform, front-end, and back-end languages, then download the corresponding code. Similar with Stripe's virtual cards documentation, you can customize the API output based on coding language and use an easy copy and paste button to get the info. And last part here is Stripe uses video when needed. They include the video right above their table of contents to help elaborate more complex topics. And there you have it, the different types of documentation that you can include in a knowledge base, as well as an example of a knowledge base from one of the best companies out there. And thank you for watching this video and sticking with us to the end. Again, my name is Josh. I'm the founder of Technical Writer HQ. If you enjoyed this video and you feel like you know more about how to create a great knowledge base, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and that way you can keep up to date with everything documentation and technical writing. And I'll go ahead and see you in some of our following videos. Cheers.